Oh, good morning. Yeah, once again, walking very carefully through the sea of mud. But we're getting there slowly but surely. It's starting to, well, you'd hope now that it's, starting to dry up, but it's really not, unfortunately. Oh. But yes, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Walk. Whoop. And as always, gently on our way. And for some reason, yet again, I can't share it. I don't know if it's just my phone that won't allow me to share the stream when it's going live, but I can't make a post, unfortunately, about it. So it's really annoying, but there you go. Zaldon, horses, yep. Just in the background. We'll probably be seeing many a horse today, as always. Here's a little group. In the background there. We're probably about to see some cows. They're not, at least in their normal position, which is good. At least we'll be able to slide on through. But now, please do. Patrick H, good morning. Like I say, please do click the like and share button, because unfortunately I've forgotten to do it. So be prepared for my vamping while we wait and we get more people in. So at least I can start properly, as they say. Yeah. This is the big problem with the... See, now they've let the cows on through. The big problem is they just spread the mud everywhere, and that is now a complete sea of mud. And last year, I don't know if they'll do it again. I hope they do. But they sort of moved all the mud to like one side, which was a big help. But as you can see, once it starts raining again, it just goes everywhere, and of course the cows just churn everything up again, and well, you're having to start all over again. So, wow, looks like Wacken, only the bands are missing. Very true. At least it's not raining. Yep, that is true. At least, yep, it could be worse. It could be worse. It could be worse. Ugh. You have to... Oh dear. Oh, so daisy. This is very treacherous. Oh, do we try and wade through, or do we go around? That is the question. Well, unfortunately, we might only have one way, as we got this guy blocking us off here, and these guys. I'm just trying to think which way to go now. Tell you what, let's go our usual traditional way, shall we? Well, oh dear. Just wade on through to the other side. Craig, good morning to you. Cathal OG, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone else joining us. Like I say, please do remember to click the like and share button, because I've forgotten to click that. So if you could do that for me, that would be very, very helpful. The cows. ultimately responsible for all this. They're the ones who've churned all this up and made this an absolute muddy nightmare. Worst thing is just because, like, try and find the high ground and not be careful to sink too much into it, because if you do, well, I might lose a welly. I don't want that. I do not want that to happen. Yeah, excuse me if there's very little commentary at the moment, because, well, I've got to try and forge a way through here first to begin with. And then we can begin. Anyway, I was live streaming last night. We'll start off with that. I was live streaming last night. Talking about Craig Murray, and oh my word, I don't think I've seen someone try and justify a more crazy U-turn without that than anything before. Honestly, that was painful. And bear in mind, we were going for, I think we were live streaming for like 3 hours. I feel sorry for one angry pagan when I pulled them onto the live stream and had them suffer with me as well. But oh my word, I have not seen a more ridiculous excuse for trying to justify, like, the Ukraine war. It was complete Russian propaganda that he was peddling. He had gone full Putin simp mode. He didn't produce any evidence to back up his claims, and just repeated yet more Russian propaganda. And the worrying thing is why I said, halfway through the stream, why was I doing this? Dave W, good morning to you. And like I say, good morning to everyone else joining us as well. Please do remember to click the like and share button. Like I say, I forgot to send out the link before I streamed, so if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. But thank you very much if you do that. Whoop. So Daisy, get some more people on with us. Ugh. And then this just gets even worse. Like I say, I do apologise if I'm not looking at the screen. Like I say, I'm trying to at least remain upright in this situation. Oh. Like I say, once we're across this field, it should be alright. I say should be alright. He says with a bit of hope in his voice. Craig, there's always the danger of people who try to give intellectual justification to horrifying positions and actually managing to get traction and shielding those positions. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to look at the very start of the Ukraine war. There was a guy basically peddling like great power politics, that because Russia was, a big military power because it had nuclear weapons, well, not only did it get, Ukraine, it got like Poland, the Baltic states, any country that sort of touched its border, that now belonged to Russia. That was now in its sphere of influence. What's his name now? John Meshimir, that's it. Or Meshimir, I can't remember how you pronounce his second name now. But that again was someone who had a big sort of intellectual following and justification. Paz News, good morning to you as well. Ugh. Oh, that's gone right over my trousers. Oh well. I'm glad I'm wearing my old jeans, to say the least. But, my God, it's just, there we go. Just difficult to wade through. Yeah, Craig, yeah, great power politics. I licked it, therefore it's mine. Exactly. And lots of people on the left fell for like his justification, and used sort of his justification or his reasoning at the start of this war, not to be as pro-Ukrainian as we should. And you heard his talking points echoed a lot. And the danger becomes, as you said, that Craig Murray sort of then becomes that justification, that you're using, an expert, in quotation marks, to try and justify the UK not supporting Ukraine, or, we should just completely stop supporting them in this regard. It's just one of those things where you look at it. Hang on. Yeah. That. So it's just one of those things, those justifications where you look at it and you go, and then the worst thing then becomes really difficult to push back against it. It's again, go back to John Meshemer. When I started sort of, saying, I'm going to do sort of, a video about, the Ukraine war, and keep on making sure that keeps, in the front of people's minds to remind people that, this is an issue, that this is probably at least, a serious issue that we in Europe need to sort of be concerned about, and need to be looking at, how we can sort of help support the Ukrainians, making sure that, that when it does come time to negotiate, that they are in the strongest position possible. Every single time I had people firing back at me, John Meshemer quotes, or saying, oh, what about what John Meshemer said? And it was really difficult to sort of then get through to these people, because they were sort of saying, well, who are you? Who are you to question John Meshemer? He's like a big intellectual powerhouse where it comes to, international politics. So it's really important to push back against these people, because otherwise people are just going to start quoting this guy, or at least using him as a justification to sort of say, oh, well, this is why we need to, ignore the, ignore any crimes that Russia has done, because somehow, Ukraine is going to be worse because reasons. Adrian Wilson, good morning to you. One Ivy Pagan, good morning to you as well. Have I missed anyone else? Nope. Adrian Wilson, Meshemer has been very vocal in rationalising and justifying the Russian Belkosti since the Euromaidan in 2014. He is 100% parrots Kremlin lies about the coup, and adds a Russian sphere in quote natural. So a Russian sphere is natural. Yeah, exactly. And this is it. If you've had any experience like arguing, with these types of people, they will bring up Meshemer's arguments and they will use it against you. And then you've got to try and, not have an argument about the idea of why that's wrong. You've then got to sort of go back and sort of explain to them why Meshemir is wrong, why what he's putting out is wrong as well. So it just makes the conversation so much harder, so much more difficult, because they're going, ha, here's my expert, here's what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying is right, true, and justify this, because you know this incredible expert John Meshemir is backing up my you know assumption that, oh, you know, Russia should just have its, you know, a natural sphere of influence. It should just get, you know, Ukraine and the Baltic states and Poland, etc., because you know that was part of its traditional sphere of influence. So yeah, don't be afraid to push back against, you know, these types of people. If you do think that they are wrong, do push back against them. Do question them on what they are saying. And bear in mind, there's enough other, you know, experts out there that you can quote from to say, well, so and so says, you know, says this about, you know, about the situation. What's your response to that? It's yeah, it sort of becomes a game of, you know, top Trump experts, and then it sort of avoids the real crux of the issue as to then why they are avoiding, you know, why are they so obsessed with talking about, you know, and supporting Russia. Most of it does come down to a very bizarre anti-West view, unfortunately, but you know, there you go. Simon Belford, Meshemir describing the situation in Russia is like Minford being an economist. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. There are two people who are, well, very, very much responsible for spreading so much nonsense, and then you've got to fight back against that nonsense, and it's really difficult to then have conversations with people, because they just become obsessed with, you know, who are you to challenge, like John Meshemir or Chris Murray. I can guarantee you, in like the next couple of weeks on that live stream, I am going to get a response from someone who is like pro Chris Murray, saying that exact thing. You know, who are you to challenge Chris Murray? He was an incredibly respected diplomat for the United Kingdom. How dare you? I can almost guarantee it. That's what's going to happen. But on to other things. I suppose we've all heard about the William Ragg situation. Now, the Tory MP who went on Grindr and then, you know, shared some photos and then got blackmailed for it. Now, of course, that in itself is a situation that is, you know, it's funny. Let's not say that there is not an element of mirth to this, because there is. But I think this raises, out of all this, yet again, a really serious point. Now, this sort of brings up the serious point again about how safe our MPs, and the fact that for quite a while he did not feel comfortable about coming forward what happened to him. And I think that in itself does paint a very worrying picture of that you had someone who was effectively blackmailing an MP. And that's a crime in itself. But he felt really uncomfortable about not coming forward. And yet this becomes, an MP safety issue. We are still not that far out from, the murder of Joe Cox, and of course the Conservative, what's his name now? I'm forgetting it, I'm blanking on it, never mind. Someone will say it in the chat. But, we are still not too long out from that. And I think it's not just protecting, it's not just protecting our, our MPs from physical, David Ames, that's it, yes. It's not just protecting our MPs from physical threats. It's making sure that if something like that happens again, an MP can come forward and say, hey, this is happening to me. So I do think that there is a very, very big case here to be argued that while this is, of course, a scandal, there is an element for this. Oh, Larry the Cat, good morning to you. Good morning to anyone else that I might have missed in the chat. We are very rapidly approaching the Barnsley Triangle. So if you do lose connection or anything like that, do remember to stick around. I'll be back momentarily as we stroll through the triangle. So don't worry about that. We will resume normal service. We will resume normal service very momentarily. Just give it a moment. Whenever you're pagan, good chat last night. Hope you weren't too talkative. No, you're perfectly fine. Like I say, I tricked you. I fooled you into sort of, suffering with me of Craig Murray. So, Of course, Loki children, good morning to you. Oh no, it's the triangle. But I really do think that this is I really do think that this is a an MP safety issue again, because it raises the issue of how safe are our MPs from threats like this. Ben Ridings, good morning to you. Because it was other MPs who also reported this, and then and then it came up, and then he had to come forward about it. And you're like, well, why didn't you come forward about it in the first place, And then on top of all that, it's it does bring back up this safety issue again for MPs, because how many other MPs are going to get targeted like that on who knows what? and how sort of secure and safe they feel about coming forward about these types of things. So this is yet again something I think Labour really need to work on, protecting MPs and being like that. And one of the things and ideas that has been suggested before is to have something like they do in America, the civil service. I mean, not the civil service, the secret, not the Secret Service. What are they called now? The people who protect the president. That's it. I can't remember, but yeah, having a version of that defends the MPs, because there is a department within the Met that is sort of dedicated to protecting Parliament, protecting 10 Downing Street, and protecting, the PM when he's on walkabout. Yes, Sir Ron Venti's talking about taking down his OnlyFans page. That's very true. So I think maybe we should talk about extending that protection. That if MPs are, under threat, that they don't just go to, the police, that there is a sort of dedicated sort of office they can go to make sure, that they are protected and that they are sort of, looked after. Because not every single MP is going to be able to afford, private security. And of course, one of the things that, came up, if you remember, during the last Labour conference just last year, we had the whole glitter debacle with Starmer. And I said it then, and I'll say it again, if that guy had a knife or, some other deadly weapon, he was there long enough before he was dealt with to potentially have done a lot of serious damage. And maybe even sort of seriously harm Keir Starmer. So there is, I think that we're not sort of taking this threat of MP security seriously. And unfortunately, we've had, of course, before Joe Cox, the last MP to sort of be assassinated was something in the 1800s. We'd gone 80 or so years since then, and it's just one of the things we have to be concerned about. Just get across this. There we go. Is where do we go then from here? That is a very good question. Patrick H, can't GCHQ or MI5 keep an eye on MPs' incoming emails? Again, maybe, I don't know, maybe they should. Maybe there should be something like that. Do we want our leaders surrounded by 30 plus body cars 24/7? I think it's a great thing that MPs are not surrounded by guards. And in theory, you can meet your MP in Greggs. Again, it is that safety question, and yeah, you should be, MPs should feel safe enough to be able to go to Greggs, and walk about their constituencies. But again, we have to ask that question: how safe is that? Maggie Pie, good morning to you. And I think, as much fun as we can have, laughing about this, and don't get me wrong, there is a lot to be, there is a lot of, laughter to be had about this, I will agree. But it does come down to like a very serious safety issue. And I think it's something that we have to really think about. Because we've had 2 MPs murdered in like the space of 5 years. And yet it really does seem that's the natural outcome. And you've had people like Jess Phillips, who has been talking about the fact that she has been receiving just constant streams of, death threat after death threat and things like that. And there'll be stuff that all have happened we'll never know about because they want to keep it sort of, covered up. But it becomes a very sort of worrying issue when it comes to that. And how really safe are our MPs when they are doing their job? Oh dear. Oh. No, I can't go that way at all now. And that's just dangerous. That is just so dangerous. I can't believe, no offense, this farmer's, I think, really foolish. Because, don't know if you can see that, it's put a bit of barbed wire across there. And this is a way that people constantly come up and down. Can't go that way anymore because, again, blocks that way off. And if you fall that, you're falling straight on this piece of barbed wire. Shall we risk it or shall we go that way? So I know that way might be maybe slightly easier, or do we want to risk this way? So this is so difficult when you've got just one hand to try and do this. There we go. Oh, made it. Made it. Honestly, I find it more compelling when it's not the government of austerity that will most benefit. Employing guards is expensive, and we know the Tory MPs are willing to trade lives to save money. I think this issue is a case of you've got to take your feelings about the Tories out of it, because this is about the safety of every MP, regardless whether you agree or disagree with them. This is a safety issue. And the problem becomes is if you don't take this seriously, well, then you end up with a Joe Cox situation, a David Amos, situation as well. So there are very, very much serious like security concerns like around this. You know, and what, you know, these MPs go through to sort of do this. I mean, I honestly hope that Jess Phillips, whenever gets one of these death threats, that she's sending it forward to the Met, and that then these people are then getting a knock on the door saying, you know, we understand you've sent this threat. And to be honest, I think it should apply to, you know, Jacob Rees-Mogg as well. I think if someone has sent a threat to, you know, to Jacob Rees-Mogg, I think that, you know, the police should treat that exactly the same as a threat sent to someone like, you know, Jess Phillips. It is a safety issue, and you've got to take your feelings out of that, regardless whoever that MP and your feelings might be about that MP, you know. You know, I do not want Jacob Rees-Mogg to lose his seat because of some lunatic. I'd rather he lose his seat, you know, on election night. You know, that's what I want. You know, that's what I would rather happen. You know, he gets voted out. But it is a very, very much a safety issue. I do apologise if I'm not looking at the chat, because I really shouldn't have gone this way. This is just so very muddy. Note to self, don't go this way. In fact, I think we'll have to jump off this route up ahead, because this is getting very dangerous, honestly, with this just amount of mud. Yeah. So again, I do apologise if I'm not reading the chat or I miss anything. Trying to stay upright. It's the right thing to do. The other thing we saw as well this week was Rishi Sunak's interview with The Sun. Yeah, that did not go well. That did not go well at all. And to be honest, whoever advised him on that and like prepped him for that interview, honestly should be fired. Because there was a guy who honestly seemed not to have like an answer for half of the questions he was going to field. Ugh. Just wade on through. There we go. Once again, sorry for not reading the chat, but this is getting very difficult to navigate. Ugh. 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 Right, we're going to jump off here, because I think going any further in this direction will be foolish. There we go. There we go, much better. Much easier. Not wading through mud there. But yeah, talk about, you know, a unprepared for an interview. I mean, sorry, but if you're going to send your like lead party into that sort of situation, then I think that's going to be a bit of a problem. That's going to be a bit of a problem if you're not going to, you know, actually sort of prepare your MP for that. Or at least, you know, even your leader of the party to sort of prepare them for like an interview seems just completely irresponsible from a comms team perspective. And either they should have been fired or at least replaced by someone else, because he really did not know what he was doing, what questions had been asked, and he'd clearly not been prepped properly enough to have that conversation. Just marching up the hill. Woo. Tell you what, slogging through that mud and then going up that hill, that's taking the wind out of me, that. That is taking the real wind out of me. Oh. Oh, there we go, we're back. Michael, I have noticed on the stupid number of Conservative campaign flyers that my local councillors and MPs are now generating the Conservative logo is now shrinking week by week. They're ashamed of the party. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The local elections, like I say, kicking off properly now. Every party has now launched their campaign. They've kicked off their campaign, and probably very soon it's really going to step up a gear, I think, because these local campaigns, and I think the number, like the scale of defeat I think the Conservatives are going to feel at this local election could be very, very high. And as I've said before, this could be what triggers a general election. Like that scale of defeat, like that sheer number of loss of, you know, Tory councillors, local mayors, regional mayors, loss of councils, that is going to massively affect the Tories. Because we remember after the last elections, like, there was a massive outcry from like the local Tories all up and down the country about like the national government explicitly saying, you are the reason why we lost. You need to clean up your act and get on with it. And here's the thing, that hasn't happened. Like, we can all clearly see that has not happened. And as a result, you know, you've got local Tories who will now put their leaflet through the doors and try and pretend many times that they are an independent candidate, which is very, very naughty of them, by the way. And if you catch a Conservative councillor pretending to be an independent, you know, you should tell them and report them to the Electoral Commission, because that's a wrong thing to do. But they are going to try and do that. They are going to try and pretend that they're not Tories any way, shape or form that they can. And yes. Got some horses. Yeah. Larry the cat. Yeah, they're not the Messiah. They're very naughty boys. Michael, the question is, or at least the critical number, is 600 lost council seats, maybe 700. They're predicting 800 to 900 out of about 1,000 to be lost, according to some reports. Yeah, it's going to be cataclysmic. It is going to be absolutely cataclysmic. I think these local election losses, it is going to be a seismic shift. And I've always told you, when the Tories are panicking, when they sort of get trapped in a, oh, there we go. Like when they get trapped in their, you know, their panic about a situation, they do not make good decisions. And that decision may either well be, screw it, let's just get this over with, let's just go for a general election, or someone is generally going to try and remove Rishi Sunak. And if they generally try and remove Rishi Sunak, well, that then becomes the fun option, doesn't it? Craig, I mostly want the Tories to be forced to argue for it and then be confronted with their own hypocrisy when it comes to spending others' lives compared to their own. Labour doesn't have the same issue. Sorry about the wind. But here are some proper horses. Some property big boys. I think we've got a Shire horse there. I think judging by his size, I think he's a Shire horse. So, yeah, this is something I also always repeat as well, but make sure your local elections, you get as many people out to vote as you can. Because, you know, a seismic shift in the local elections can be like the movement of 100 people either turning out to vote or shifting their vote. And either way, it could be very interesting. This is why I think at this local election, you are very, very likely to say, I think probably some Reform candidates get elected to local councillor positions. Like, I very, very much do think that, and I think that is going to cause the Tories to seriously panic, because I don't know if you saw this after I finished live streaming. This came out last night. So guess who turned up to Nigel's birthday party? Yep, Truss. Yep, Larry the Cat got it in one. Yep, Liz Truss turned up at Nigel Farage's birthday party. Which has now started, I think, once again, the panic rumours. Who knows if it's actually going to happen or not? But could Truss be the next defection? Honestly, I'd hope she doesn't, because the more she remains in the Conservative Party, the more damage she does to the Conservatives. So I really, really do hope that she does not defect. Because it is far, far better for her to remain in the Conservatives and just continue running around, opening her mouth, as she has done, you know, with the Conservative banner behind her. Because the more she does that, the more damage she does to the Conservatives. So, please, Liz Truss, do not jump to Reform UK. Oh. Because if not, that's a lot of damage that could have been, you know, done to the Conservatives that unfortunately now Reform UK has to do. But yeah, the local elections I think are going to be very interesting, especially the results. Last time I stayed up and live streamed as the results came in. I don't think I'm going to live stream it this time. Maybe what I do instead is I get up early on results day. Wow, definitely a lot more water this morning. But again, good to know that your wellies are waterproof doing this, but also giving them a bit of a good wash. There we go. There we go. Much better. But the local elections are going to be... Craig, are Reform running any local election candidates? Yes. Yes, they are. The Reform UK are running. They've launched their campaign already. And we'll see what happens. But the other thing that will have excited Reform and, of course, caused panic at Tory HQ is the voting intention for Reform has now gone up and is closer now to matching the Tories. So they are inching ever forward to sort of matching each other. I'll tell you now, if that happens, that's going to be oh boy, that's going to be very fun. Craig, oh god, hopefully that terrifies the Tories even more. Losing 800 seats to Labour might even scare them less than 50 seats to Reform. Exactly. Because every single time this happens, they go, oh well, what if we replicate this result as a general election? And you just get to see the scale of defeat that would have been if it had been a general election. And it becomes very, very worrying then. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens about that though. I don't think so this time, Michael. I don't think Reform are going to step aside from this time. They've got no reason to. They've got absolutely no reason to this time. I mean, what are they going to step aside for? What are they going to step aside for? You had Gillis write an entire piece about, you know, a vote for Reform, you know, is like voting for Keir Starmer. That did not shift the needle. In fact, if that anything, that emboldened Reform, that piece. Because then they say, oh well, we're the only party who can hold Starmer to account, so you know, maybe you should be voting for us instead of the Tories, because you know, they're not true Conservatives. Oh. But we'll see what happens in this. Larry the Cat Deformed will lose whatever little credibility they have left if they step aside. this time, and they've got no Brexit this time. Exactly. There's no reason for them to step aside this time. There's no reason for them to step aside, especially as their whole idea and plan is just to eventually become, the Tory party and take over it. And part of that plan is, you have to destroy the Tory party. And they are going to do that. Because then what you can do is Nigel can go, well, I'm going to join the Tory party. Along come all the Reform members as well to join. You get this massive, UKIP infiltration Mark II happening. And of course, what happens? They end up in a position where Nigel Farage could potentially gain control of the Conservative Party. They are looking at the big picture here. They are massively looking at the big picture here for their own, party political purposes. And who can blame them? Who can blame them? Given the scale of defeat that the Tories are going to face, who can blame them at this point, So, of course, they're not going to step aside this time. They're gonna absolutely try their best, because their whole reason for this point is to try and squeeze as many Tories out as they can. They know that's their objective this time. And like I say, backing down isn't going to be acceptable for them this time, unless they were given some serious concessions. And even then, I don't think many Conservatives would be very happy with that, if they were given such serious concessions as to stand down. No way, can't see it. Cannot see it happening. Craig, Tories okay, Reform win enough council seats and need a mid-sized couch, which is objectively tiny, but it very much scares us. Time to double down on the racism and xenophobia. Oh yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. Michael Warner, yeah. Labour first, Lib Dem second, SNP third, Reform fourth, Greens fifth, then the Tories sixth. Maybe, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Michael, just who is funding Reform Party? Probably a lot of ex-Tory donors funding the party, that's for sure. But it is a valid question. I mean, yeah, very true. Yeah, enough free air time on GB News. Yeah, they've got their own practical news channel there, pumping out, Reform propaganda 24/7. Surprise, surprise. Nagby Pagan, yes, I hope the Greens do better than Reform. Well, yeah, I'd hope so too, but I don't know. Like I say, this could be yet another situation where the Greens go, look how many council seats we won this time, guys. The general election is going to be a shoo-in. Happens every single election. Greens win X number of council seats and they go, oh my God, this is it. Green tide rising, people. And here's the thing, if you look at the current voting intentions, they're going to lose Brighton Pavilion and instead they're going to take Bristol Central, which effectively means they only have one MP. And it's true, as I said in my conversation with No Justice, that Brighton Pavilion was not being won by the Green Party, it was being won by Caroline Lucas, and they did not use her effectively as they should. They should have gambled and risked, running on her reputation to try and build a green core around Brighton Pavilion to get, to build a base, and they did not. They've wasted all that time when they could have been doing that, and the exact same thing is going to happen in Bristol Central. That they're going to try and build this, or at least pretend like they're doing it, but they're not. Who knows how long we'll hold on to that seat for? You never know. The next general election after this, there could be no Green MPs. But we'll see. Now they can't get some seriously large brown envelopes. Yeah, oh yes. Would not surprise me if Richard Trice and Aaron Banks have exchanged many an envelope. Would not surprise me if that were the case. Ben Riding, so there are Tories who have now enabled this type of behaviour with the far right in their rhetoric. So it's not only that, they've endangered the country with their own by their own colleagues. Yep. Oh. Morning. Welcome to the mud.
Welcome round here. It's lovely round here. There's a song about mud, glorious mud, isn't there?
Oh yes.
Nothing quite like it.
Nothing quite like it, yeah.
Cool in the blood,
Oh. Oh. Daisy, there we go. At least get back onto you. There we go. Michael Warnock, I always feel sorry for the Greens. Don't. They do it to themselves. They do it for themselves every single time. Green tide rising, green tide provided by the Thames Water. Yeah. Cathal G, if GBB's was a football club, they'd be skirting the UEFA financial fair play rules. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Meanwhile, the hard left. I don't like Starmer. We know. We've heard you multiple times, hard left. Can you sing us a different tune? Other than that, but no, that is it. Sunak in radio interview. The number one question coming from the public is, when will you call a general election? Sunak, public do not want a general election. What a shower. Exactly. The more they engage in this, the more stupid this becomes. This is exactly the same rhetoric that ended up, the same thing with Gordon Brown. He ended up getting the moniker Bottler Brown. Chicken Rishi is very, very quickly becoming, a thing. Good morning to the fella. I should have showed you the dog as well. He's got a very nice border collie. Very nice border collie. Nope. Got some ponies on this morning. And oh look, looks like we've got a new pony. Look very new indeed. Yeah, Duke Vengeance, and now for the weather with bowler hat. Well, there's a lot of mud this morning. Sidetracking issue. I'm a little surprised that the Parliament wasn't recalled of the Israel issue. I am surprised about that as well. But you are now obviously seeing the serious conversations about stopping weapon shipments to Israel. And bear in mind, if you count Israel's total weapon supply, we supply them with 76% of their weapons. It's a very, very small percentage. Don't get me wrong, I think we should do it. I think it is the right response to have in response to this. But once again, it's going to have very little effect unless there is a mass doing of it. And especially, of course, America needs to stop doing it as well. But even now you can tell that Israel is really testing like Joe Biden's patience with all this. So who knows? We'll see what happens on that front. Craig, what kind of personal person sends him into the open forum with only an answer to that kind of GE question? Only someone who aims for Sunak to try and lose horribly. Maybe he's getting advice from Badnock. Who knows? Maybe it is so, but he's getting some very, very poor media advice, I'll tell you that. Helen Wilkes, Sunak is a complete reverse Chicken Little, denies the sky is falling when it's already dropped on his head. Oh yeah. Divide those weapons sales from Israel to Ukraine. Yeah, I said that before. I think that would be a fantastic idea. Spain, I think, has done that. I think many other European countries should now follow suit. I think that should exactly happen. So if that's the case, but yeah, we'll see what happens when Parliament returns. But here we are, end of the good morning walk as always. So thank you very much everyone for joining me on today's good morning walk. I don't know about next week because I'm going to be in Aberdeen next week, so there might be a good morning walk. Maybe it'll be around somewhere in Aberdeen, maybe it will be somewhere in the Highlands. I don't know. I can't say. I won't promise anything, but I will let you know if there is going to be a good morning walk. If not, I might not, and there might just be a surprise one, so who knows? We'll see what happens. But as always, go out, enjoy yourselves, have a fun weekend. Of course, remember, if you can't be safe, at least be sensible. And of course, as always, please do remember to hit the like and the share button on your way out. Do remember to leave a comment with the algorithmical stuff and whatever kind of voodoo magic that, you know, the Google algorithm works with that type of stuff. So, as always, thank you very much for all the help and support that you guys show. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend, everyone. And of course, see you all next time.